We are live. You can get started, Danielle. We are live.
Okay, hi, my name is Danielle Frank. I was a member of the Hoopa Valley High School Water Protectors Club. I'm now a youth intern for Save California Salmon, and today we're doing a webinar to participate in the Love Your Rivers Week. This is a youth panel, and we're kind of focusing on things that we've done and maybe plan to do for our internships, as well as just water advocacy and just fighting for what's right that we've been doing. So just to catch everyone up, I'm going to hand it over to Regina Chicazola, our director, so she can introduce everybody.
Hi there. My name is Regina Chicazola, and I'm with Save California Salmon. I am the director of Save California Salmon. And today we are really excited to have youth water protectors presenting for us. And as this is part of Love Your Rivers Week, and just to let people know, at 4 o'clock on Wednesday, we will also be having another webinar that is on drought, dams, and tribal rights. And we have really great presenters for that. Chief Colleen Sis from the Winnemem-Wintu tribe, Beth Rose Middleton from UC Davis Native American Studies, Craig Tucker from the Karuk tribe, and several other speakers will be talking about how new dams are not the answers to California's drought. And then at noon on Friday, we will be presenting on This Land of Fire and Water, which is a panel about land back and water in California. And that is going to be with HSU's Native American Studies Department. And we have really great speakers. We have Corina Gould. We have Katja Risling-Baldy from HSU Native American Studies, and also Brittany Orana. Thank you so much for being here. We also wanted to encourage everyone to take action to support youth today. Save California Salmon, and I'm going to show a couple slides at some point after everyone else presents, if possible, but to explain this more. But Save California Salmon has put out a curriculum called Advocacy and Water Protection in Native California for high school students, but lots of university youth also are engaged in that. And we want to encourage everyone to get that into your local high school and make sure that Native people and water protectors are represented in the education systems within your local counties. So if you would like to help out, make sure youth are empowered to take action for their water, and that Native voices are heard in California, then please be involved. Also, if you would like to support this kind of work, we're starting a new fund called the Grant Gilkinson and Jordan Allen Memorial Fund for Native Youth. And we need to raise $25,000 to start that fund, but we're already over $7,000 into the fundraising. And you can donate either through the Facebook fundraiser, which is posted on our Facebook page, or you can donate through Humboldt Area Foundation. And you can go to their website and just put in the notes that it's for the Grant Gilkinson and Jordan Allen Fund for Native Youth. If it just said Fund for Native Youth, people would understand. So with that, we have a tight schedule today, and Danielle actually has a job interview at 4:30. So we were going to start out with Danielle, but before we do, I also wanted to make sure that we do introductions all around. We have Tamaya Wiki with us today. She was a Save California Salmon intern this year, working and focusing on video projects, and she actually was able to engage in the Red Road journey to the White House, the totem pole journey that went to meet up with Secretary of Interior Deb Haaland. We have Connect and Repoy Lowry, and they are part of the Trinidad Elementary School Water Protectors Club, and they've been working with us for a very long time, but they also were able to interview the Secretary Deb Haaland, and they're going to be talking about their work on water protection and what it was like to meet the first Native American Secretary of Interior and be able to interview her on water and climate issues. And then we also have our newest intern, Catherine Priya, and hopefully I said that right, but it's really exciting to have her here because she's just started at HSU, but she's been working with Little Manila Rising and with Restore the Delta out of Stockton. And we're really trying to expand our Central Valley work. So she'll be doing a presentation on what she did in Stockton and how that relates to her work that she's now doing in Humboldt. So with that, I'd like to introduce Danielle Frank, who's a youth who's been working with us for a long time. And she is a member of the Hoopa Valley Tribe and has just recently moved to Sacramento. And she's going to be presenting with us about not only what it's like to be a youth water protector, but what it's like to be a youth water protector that now is teaching other youth how to be youth water protectors. So thank you so much, Danielle, for being here today.
Thank you, Regina. Okay, so I have a little presentation of some things that I've done this summer and participated in with the help of Save California Salmon that I'd like to share and talk about a little bit if someone wants to screen share that.
Carrie, would you mind sharing that one or?
Sure. Let me just get back.
And we apologize. There's always technical difficulties.
That's for you. Welcome to the world of Zoom.
Actually says my browser is not supported. So I don't know. I would have to use a different browser that I don't really have access to unless I download that. So Regina, if you're able to do it, that might be better.
While you guys work that out, I can start. So I put together a little presentation of things that like I said, I've participated in, I've helped host, and just things that this has been a really good learning experience for me. And it's been really fulfilling to be able to do this kind of work and to work with kids who I was there like not that long ago. And so it's really cool to be that person. So first off, Heyang Wamalio, Hui Duch Danielle Holiet, Hosach Wana Holiet, Frank Wahontating, Jackson Wahontating, Kogrov Wahontating, Makano Wahontating, Sergis Wahontating, Medeldi Nachwaye, Tsewanaldi Nachwaye, Hontananting Nachwaye. Hello friends, they call me Danielle. My Hoopa name is Hosach Wana, which translates to Abalone Eyes. I am from the villages of Medelding, Sewanalding, and Hontananting. I'm a member of the Hoopa Valley Tribe and the daughter of Awok Smidge Colgrove and Rihanna Sergis. And I've been blessed with the opportunity to speak up for things that I hold close to my heart and that mean a lot to me. I've been blessed to be able to speak on them since 6th grade is when I officially started, I'd like to say. Kind of as long as I can remember though. Okay, so I do in my presentation, what the reason I fight the good fight, the reason that I'm so involved in water advocacy and Native activism is because of my culture. I've been super involved with my culture. I have pictures of my dad holding me at dance before I can walk. It's all I've ever known, and it's what's kept me grounded throughout the rough times in my life and the good times, the bad times, the in between. My culture has always been there. It keeps me grounded. It not only it gives me something to believe in and something to fight for is really what it does. It always helps me to know that I'm here for a reason, and my culture is the reason that I know that. So in my presentation, I have some pictures of the cultural dances and my family being super involved with them, just to showcase what is at stake. You know, without our river being in at least the mediocre condition it's currently in, the dances that we use to balance the world, balance the good and the evil, they will be no more. And that's terrifying to me. I don't understand how something so this world needs this, and it's at stake because corporations want to sell our water. It's something that I'm still trying to wrap my head around, but it's what's at stake. And so I just wanted to showcase, it's not just a river, and it's not just because it's pretty, or it's not just because of the fish. I mean, water for profit is, that's cultural genocide. They're taking something that can't be replaced. Our ancestors fought so hard for us to be who we are, and to be able to participate in our culture, and to be able to gather our basket materials, and to dance our dances, sing our songs, keep the world balanced in a good way. Our ancestors fought for that. And so I guess now it's our turn to fight. And if we will do that for as long as we have to. And so I put some things that I've helped organize throughout the years of that I've been working with Save California Salmon and Margot Robbins at the Indian Ed Center and Hoopa Elementary, with the Hoopa High School, the Hoopa Tribe. This year, I feel like I got to branch out a little more, and I actually got the opportunity to host the 2021 annual Trinity River cleanup, along with the help of the Hoopa Tribe and Save California Salmon. We got t-shirts printed. We were able to provide lunch for everybody who helped beautify our valley. We cleaned 3 truck beds full of trash from the valley floor. And then we cleaned the ceremonial site at Mike's Point. It was thrashed, and we picked everything up. And we just got to give back, because through everything, through whatever, Hoopa has always been there for me. It's kept me grounded. It's the place that my people first originated from, and I'm so thankful that I get to call that place home, and that I get to experience something that has been around since time immemorial. So I felt it was only right that we give back a little bit, and we pick up, not our trash, but we pick up after whoever and whatever. So we had the 2021 annual Trinity River cleanup, collected lots of trash. We got to have a really nice lunch. We connected with Kamau Behavioral Health and provided sandwiches, and just got to talk about what we hope for the future of our valley. And it was so good to see so many different youth. There was a lot of youth there, and it was so good to see everybody just coming together to make my vision come true, and make our valley what it's supposed to be. So here's my presentation. This is a picture of the Trinity River, and this is just my summer wrap up. If you want to click the next slide. So this is just my introduction page, and I actually took my senior portraits at the river because it just felt right. It's such a special place to me. Okay, next. These were the pictures that I was referring to when I was talking about how the cultural pictures. This is my brother and his dad at the White Deerskin Dance, a dance that's held as a world renewal ceremony to balance the good and evil in the world. It's so powerful being there, and it really shows, what's important in life. And then up here in the top right corner is my dad and his family. Before I even came in the picture, this is my dad. I think he was in his early 20s here, and he was so culturally involved, and he made sure that his kids were from the start, which I'm forever grateful for. And then in the bottom right is the first picture I have at a ceremony. This is me in my dad's arms. And I, of course, can't remember that, but it's good to know that I've been this person since before I could walk. Okay, and I just wanted to showcase that this is what's at stake with all these corporations trying to take our water and sell it, with droughts, with everything. It's not just a river. Everything that I know, and everything that I am, and everything that my family stands for, that's what's at stake here. So this is the little presentation I put together for the 2021 annual Trinity River cleanup. And here's with Regina and Carrie and me with the t-shirts and some trash. The top left is where all the trash that we cleaned up from Mike's Point, including straight off the dance grounds. It was super good to get that all cleaned up, and it made me feel super happy because I've never seen it look that clean. And then we did a collaboration with the UROC interns, which was super, super great for me. We got to teach UROC youth interns the importance of water advocacy. Me and Regina did a whole training on how I would give testimony at a water board hearing, how she would. And then we got to open the mic and hear how the youth would give examples of how they would do testimony. And we used like a real life, like I think we went with the Klamath dams, and we actually like something that our parents, our grandparents have been fighting for, and we got to hear their perspective on it and give some more. It was really powerful. And then after this, I actually got invited to present about the importance of clean water with the Yurok tribe again. But this time we focused on the importance of clean water, and we did like a whole raft day. We cleaned along the river as we rafted. If you want to click the next slide. This is just more pictures of the interns. They got really into it. I was super happy, and they had some really powerful things to say, and I really am excited to see where they take that, where they take the training that we gave them. And I really hope to see them testifying at some of these board hearings because they have a lot to say. And then I think this was my absolute favorite event this summer. We had a Water Protectors Youth Camp in Klamath, where we got to ride in traditional redwood canoes. We got to watch young men practice canoe building practices. And that was super special for me because in my entire life, I've only met 2 or 3 men who still know how to build a redwood canoe from start to finish. And it was so powerful to watch that and that's the first step in bringing something back, is teaching the younger, teaching the youth what the importance is, how to do it the right way, how to go about this, how to do that. It's something that if these men, if they have their way, it will not be lost with them. It'll go on with my generation and after that and after that. And it was super special to see something that was almost lost be brought back. And then we also demonstrated testimony about the Klamath Dam removal here. This is just some slides I put together. Here's the Save California team, Save California Salmon team in the top right. We got to go on the canoe rides, and Sammy Jensaw sang to us. It was one of my favorite moments this summer. Here's the boys working on the canoes in the bottom right, and then just some kids who got to go out in the canoes on the left. It was a super special day, and we did t-shirt making. We made it really fun, but also really powerful and important. And it was something super nice to be. It was super nice to be a part of it. And I'm so thankful for the opportunity that working with Save California Salmon has given me. I can't wait to get more into it. And I look forward to all of the things that we have planned and all being a part of, bringing back something that our ancestors fought for us. They fought for us to be here, and they fought for us to be a part of this revolution that we're now part of. And this job makes me feel whole. It fulfills something inside of me, knowing that what I'm doing is important, and I'm helping continue my culture that was almost lost at one point. And if, we have our way with our kids, they're going to be more culturally aware than I am, which is kind of the point. So I'm super thankful for every opportunity that I've been given, and I look forward to working with the community in so many different ways. And thank you for listening to me today. And if anyone ever has any questions, feel free to contact me. I think that's it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm not used to Keynote, so I'm going to try to share stop sharing my screen. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's one of the things you learn when you work with youth, all kinds of new ways to use the technology. Okay, well, I think that next we'll try to see if Connect Neck and Ripoy can talk to us a little bit about what they did this summer when they were able to go and interview Secretary Haaland. If you guys are ready.
Yeah, sorry, we keep getting kicked off because and so I'm going to keep my video off. So we did talk to Deb Haaland about the issue with the dams and the drought, how corporations are trying to divert water from the Trinity to grow almonds and avocados down south. And we can't be doing that because we already have a drought. And so I told Deb Haaland about how that isn't good for the salmon. And if the salmon go down, they take their predators and prey with them. Well, I didn't say that, but still, I talked to her about how important it was that the dams were taken down. She said that she'd use every tool she had to help the dams be taken down. Ref, would you like to say something?
I talked to Deb Haaland too. I asked her a question about how can she help us. Even though she had already said that, I just felt good to get it out. If you have any questions, just call Kate. See you later.
All right, well, the sound is not good, but maybe it'll get better later when we get into the questions and answers. So sorry about that, Connect and Ripoy, but during my presentation, there's actually like a very short interview with one of these boys. So thank you all so much. Next on the schedule, we have Tamaya Wiki, who is going to present about what she did this summer. And it's really exciting that she was able to go on over a week-long journey to DC. So, and I'm sure you're going to talk about other things too. So yeah, just let us know if you can share your screen.
I'll just share my screen right now. Let me make sure. Okay, tell me if that works. Do you see it?
We can.
Okay, let me pull it up. Oops, sorry. It's funny, I'm a media intern and I have a really hard time with tech. Ayakui, I'm Tamaya, I'm Yurok, I'm Talawa, and I'm also Maori, which is the indigenous. Oh, I don't know what happened. Can you still see my screen? Okay.
Now your screen isn't there, but you can start over.
Okay. Oh, I did that again. Okay. Is everything all set up now? Okay. Yeah, so I'm Maori, which is the Indigenous people of New Zealand, which is where my dad is from. I'm actually a dual citizen. I'm 15, I'm a junior, and I had a really wonderful opportunity to be an intern for Save California Salmon this summer. And I already do a lot of media work, but I was able to do more. So I did elder interviews. I made some videos, but I was also able to go onto the Red Road to DC trip with Wingspan Media. So I'll just get into that. So the Red Road to DC trip, it's the House of Terrace Carvers from the Lummi Nation in Bellingham, Washington, and they have this totem pole that they brought. Well, they've done similar journeys like this, but this one was really significant because it was a gift to the Biden administration. And they stopped at Indigenous communities across the country, kind of bringing awareness to the environmental injustices in that specific area. And you can see on the map, sort of the stops, and there were some other places too. But I went on from South Dakota to Washington, DC, and I was with Wingspan Media, Moaniki, and I've worked with them since I was 12, so for 3 or 4 years now. And I was able to work through them while also bringing the stories of the Klamath River and dam removal and everything that Save California Salmon is about along the journey. So not only was I a media intern, but I was also a youth organizer representing California. And then in the bottom picture is kind of what the totem pole looks like. And this was in Ocheti Rising, the first day that I had literally flown in a couple hours before that. And so we would have, sort of an event with somebody in the community, and then we would be traveling for a day and then have another event where we would live stream on multiple people, like influencers like Mark Ruffalo, and also a lot of organizers' channels. So I think that there's a lot of things that I could talk about, like how to use a Premiere Pro software, or how to make sure, like how to get dust out of your mics, right? Like there's a lot of technical things that I learned through this internship, but I don't think anybody wants to hear about that. So here's sort of like 5 general lessons that I learned that I think are valuable for literally anybody, but I especially paid attention to as a youth, as an Indigenous youth, and as an Indigenous youth into media. So the first one is pretty obvious. I feel like this is part of Indigenous values, but it's something that you can know and understand, but until you experience and believe it and reinforce it in your life constantly, it's like it just makes it that much more powerful. So the first one is to speak to your elders. This in the bottom right-hand corner is a grandmother that I met. She's actually Hawaiian, which is funny because I'm Polynesian. And I met her in DC, and I had like a wonderful conversation with her. And then on the top is Grandmother Mary, who I met at line 3. She did a beautiful water ceremony with the Red Road crew. And then it was a kind of a wonderful full circle moment because I could see her in DC, which was like the big event where kind of all of these tribal leaders were coming, and politicians and representatives and people in DC. And I think it's really valuable because I mean, you're gaining a relationship and respect with these people, but it's also like these are the people who have been on the front lines of environmental injustices for decades. And there's so much valuable things that you can learn from them. And this isn't specifically about Red Road, but for Save California Salmon, I was able to do a couple of archived interviews of elders in my community. These are funny because Lavina Bowers is my grandmother, Susan Maston is my auntie, and Raymond Matz is my uncle who recently passed away. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to document their stories about salmon wars, about fishing rights, about the Klamath dams, because these are things that knowledge that I want to know, that I want other generations to know, that I want everybody to know. And it's so beautiful that I was able to record one of the last conversations with my uncle before he passed about a week ago. So yeah, I think that's just really beautiful how much you can learn from them. The second one is I have this phrase called minor miracles, and being involved with filmmaking really forces you to find these minor miracles. So minor miracles, I feel like, are a lot of things. I know my English teacher calls them tiny perfect things, and she'll go on a walk and point out all the tiny perfect things with her kids. And these are things that nobody else notices except you. So when you're having a camera, you're constantly like, what's the most visually appealing thing? What's something that I can capture? Like you're looking out for everything and anything you possibly can. And because of that, I was able to find really beautiful things that I don't think anybody else noticed. Like there was one point where I took a photo, I couldn't find it, but I took a photo of this elder holding her grandchild, and it was so beautiful, and it was like nobody was paying attention to them, and yet how beautiful it is. And it reinforced that in order to have something big and beautiful or a movement, it takes a lot of minor miracles. And in the next slide, these were taken at Winona Duke's camp, Shell City Camp, in at line 3, which if anybody's unfamiliar with that, it's a pipeline going from Canada and Bridge, that's the company, through kind of all over North America. And that movement has really taken a spark very recently. And so I was so fortunate to be able to go to this camp. And it was so interesting because you're full of all of these organizers and like what you expect at like a camp, right? There's like tents everywhere and people organizing and crazy things happening. But I just remember like when I went in, it was like going through a force field almost, because there were so many minor miracles. Like it was like little things, like somebody had handwritten in Sharpie, like honor the earth on the compost bin. Like that seems like such an irrelevant thing. But those are the tiny things that make something so special. And so here are some photos that I just took on my phone of things that I just thought were really precious. Yeah, and then the next one is what's their story? So I think obviously as a filmmaker or anybody into media or narrative change, You're always constantly like, what's the story? What's the story? But I think this is something that we can do as humans in general. Nikki, the lady that I was with for the media crew, I learned so much from her. Well, when you're stuck in a van with somebody for 10 days, yeah, you're gonna learn a lot from them. But there were interesting things like I remember we had a broken like these old shoes, and she kept them and like refused to throw them away. And then we came across a man who had like duct tape sandals to his feet, and she gave him those old shoes. And it was things like that, like look how beautiful it is that you're able to pay attention to people and listen to them. And I think listening is really important. And it's something that I know as an organizer, like I want people to listen to my testimonies. I want people to listen to why Indigenous voices are so important in climate justice. And so, I think you can't really ask people to listen to you without listening to them. And here's just an example of me interviewing Grandmother Mary at the Capitol Mall. It was really humid. I look really bad in that photo, but it's the thought that counts. Lesson number 4 is community organizing is powerful, and it takes more than one person. This is something I always learned, but it was interesting to see how this paralleled in both organizing, which not that there's a difference between them, but like it's so applicable to the different aspects that I was doing while on this trip. So here is kind of our setup at Standing Rock. I didn't have a photo of like what the camera's perspective, but like this, none of this would be possible. Well, physically setting up all of this equipment wouldn't be possible without multiple people. It takes a team to put these together. And here, I know you can't tell, but we're live streaming during that. And even though it took a team to like create this media, it took a team to organize these events, to negotiate, to organize, to say that we're going to do this and we're going to take this initiative. And I think that's just so important to understand that the Indigenous community, especially, it's so important to come together when we're organizing to get these things done, because it's not, we're not alone in this. And there's, especially as somebody who grew up on the reservation and then moved to a very urban place, sometimes there's moments where it's like, does anybody else agree with me? Does anybody else have my values? Does anybody else, et cetera, et cetera. And it was just wonderful to know, like, yeah, there's a whole community of people who support you and believe in the same things as you. And then the biggest lesson, which again, these are things that I already knew, but they're heavily reinforced, is that Indigenous sovereignty is the key to environmental justice. The second photo on the right, this is a photo that I took just on my phone, and I know you can't see it, but behind me there's like a Washington, oh, maybe I shouldn't name names. There's a reporter behind me who's like trying to get a shot, and like 5 people like clamoring together to get this shot. And it was just like, this is not, like, you're missing the point. Like, stop asking me to move. Look at what's in front of us. And it's hundreds of people. They're all cropped out, but it's hundreds of people in front of the Capitol building, putting their hand on the totem pole for the very last sort of like prayer circle moment, I guess you could say. And at every stop, people had time to pray, but like this was, the energy during this was so beautiful. And these are people who are coming from different Indigenous communities. So people from Bears Ears, people from Standing Rock, people from Line 3, from the Great Lakes. And just as much as I was able to tell my story of like, this is what's happening on my Klamath River, this is what's happening, why I want dam removal, this is why my fish and my environment, is under threat. All of these other people were able to pray to this totem pole, and the totem pole carried our prayers all the way to DC. And it's wonderful that we could all come together to make a statement. And this is a picture I took of Secretary of Interior Deb Haaland. It was such a beautiful experience to be able to watch her speak. And again, it just reinforced, like, Indigenous ways are the ways to move forward. We're the first peoples we are the stewards of the land. And Bay Mills Indian, oh no, I'm forgetting it. Their chairwoman, Whitney, she says this story that I really appreciate, and it's part of their creation story. And part of what she says is that Creator made humans last, not because we are the most important, but because we're the least important. Our whole purpose is to be stewards of the land. And that's something I think, even though that's their creation story, I think most Indigenous people would agree with that. And so coming together I really think is what's gonna help us. And so just like reflecting, I like how it's not going to the next slide. Okay, there we go. And just reflecting, there's so much valuable things that I learned, and that I'm so proud to so grateful to have this opportunity. And I thank both Wingspans and Regina and everybody at Save California Salmon. But these are just some of the highlights. Like through this experience, I was able to have my media posted in places like Now This News or earthjustice.org, or at the very end of the event, the photos were projected on this building in DC. But most importantly, like, which you can see in the furthest right photo, like you can just see like the power of Indigenous people. And that was just really inspiring. And that made me so grateful to be able to not only do this kind of media work, but be able to be on the front lines of a lot of these movements and learn there's environmental justices all over the country, and to be able to listen from others about what's happening in theirs, learn about what they're doing and apply that to my own community is really valuable. But yeah, I really appreciate the time, and I think that's it for my presentation.
Thank you so much. And Tamaya, do you want to let everyone know how old you are? I don't know if you said that at the beginning.
Yeah, I'm 15. I just started my junior year of high school.
I just wanted to point that out because I really enjoy working with Tamaya. And, I think that the fact that we have these inspiring youth that we work with that are, in the beginning of high school or middle years of high school are just really amazing, and also, I really wanted to point out how important it is that Tamaya was able to interview elders because we've had a lot of elders pass away on the Klamath and Trinity rivers, especially over the last few years. And some of them, like her uncle, Raymond Matz, fought for the Yurok tribe's fishing rights and went to the Supreme Court and won, and so now everyone who can fish on the Klamath River has Raymond Matz to thank. And Tamaya was able to document interviews with him talking about why youth activism is important and what youth need to do in the future in order to get involved and make sure the Klamath River still has salmon so that people can be fishing and continue to practice their cultures and their way of life. And things, unfortunately, these are inherent rights of people, but they don't come without a fight and they don't come without involvement. And so, yeah, I just wanted to give it up to Maya's family for how hard they work for the river. She comes from a long line of really beautiful people. And okay, so with that, thank you to Maya. I hope it wasn't embarrassing. I just wanted to move on to our next speaker, who is Catherine Priya. And it's really great to have her here because she's our only speaker that is today that is not from the Klamath or Trinity rivers. And I just really think it's important that we know that these struggles are, like Tamaya was saying, are nationwide, but also in California they're all over the state. And in Stockton, we worked with a lot of people who are fighting for clean water and clean air that have to deal with like a lot of industrial pollution and agriculture pollution. And there's a lot of people who fish from the Delta for subsistence that are not Native people. Also, there's, like a lot of Asian American people, and they also have environmental justice organizations and they fight hard right beside us. So I'm really excited that Catherine can be with here today be with us here today and talk about the work that she did this summer to protect the Bay Delta of California. And for those of you who don't know, the Trinity, we are very much connected here on the Klamath River because the Trinity River is diverted into the Sacramento River and the Bay Delta. So our struggles really are really connected, and I'm really always very happy to work with people from the Central Valley who are working to protect their water. And I think it's really exciting that we have Catherine here now at HSU helping us study some of the local history also. So with that, if you wanted to introduce yourself and share your screen.
Yeah, totally. Thank you for that introduction. Can everyone see? Let me see if I can expand this here. Okay, so hi, my name is Catherine Priya. I was just recently brought on as a Save California Salmon intern, and I'm really excited to be on board. I'm also a new student here at Humboldt State. I'm a sophomore, but this is my first year on campus. But I am originally from Stockton, a city in the Central Valley about an hour south of Sacramento. And because I just recently joined, I haven't had the opportunity yet to complete any projects for Save California Salmon. So today I'd like to share with all of you some of the work that I've done in regards to historic restoration, and then later environmental justice groups surrounding water quality and water access. So Stockton now in present day is understood to be an incredibly diverse area. However, most Stocktonians, and I think greatly by extension, the SF Bay Delta and Californians, were never taught who was responsible for shaping the Delta into the incredible farm area that it is today. Beginning in the 19th century, Chinese immigrants helped transform the North and Central Delta through the building of the Transcontinental Railroad, the development of the levees along the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta, and agriculture. What is lesser known, however, is the development of the South Delta, which is the Stockton area. The first generation of Filipinos to come to America in the 1920s and 30s worked back-breaking jobs in the fields of California in order to help their families back in the Philippines. The Philippine-American War, after the Spanish-American War, left the country devastated in the beginning of the 20th century, leaving a generation of Filipinos with little economic opportunity. These manongs and manangs, which is a term of endearment for Filipino elders, and by extension, mostly manongs, since the ratio of Filipino men to women in California was 20-1, left their homes as teenagers and as young adults, many never seeing their families again. And here, just for reference, I have some early photos of what Little Manila looked like in Stockton, dated, I believe, mid-30s. Forced to live in downtown and South Stockton due to redlining, Stockton was soon home to the largest Filipino community outside of the Philippines from the 1920s through the 60s. So as you can imagine, it was a pretty sizable community. The Stockton Asian community quickly built the valley into the agricultural powerhouse that it is known as today. And by the mid-60s, Larry Itliong and the Filipino community spearheaded the farm worker labor organizing movement, alongside with Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta. Yet despite the impact of the Filipino community on the Delta, Little Manila as a neighborhood only exists in fragments now, with less than 3 original buildings still standing today. Fortunately, though, Little Manila Rising, which is the group that I was afforded to work with, has been working for the past decade to not only bring multifaceted equity to Stockton, as well as educating us to our culturally rich history. 4 years ago, 15 abandoned steam trunks were discovered in the basement of the old Filipino Dagoy Lodge, which essentially stood as a center for the farm worker immigrants, not only as a way to preserve cultural heritage, but part of that was also networking with other farm workers, especially throughout the farm worker movement. In them were countless artifacts offering a look into the lives of early Filipino farm worker immigrants. Little Manila Rising reached out to the Smithsonian Institute about their discovery, and they are now in the process of creating an exhibition of these people's lives and the impact that they had on California agriculture. So for a year, I was lucky enough to be given the opportunity to create an archive for Little Manila Rising of these steam trunks and their artifacts before they leave for DC. Unfortunately, because of COVID, a lot of these projects ended up getting really pushed back. And so while the Smithsonian was actually supposed to take these steam trunks about a year and a half ago, I believe, we're still in the process of moving things just because obviously a lot got shut down with COVID. So my job essentially was to photograph, archive, and preserve the artifacts that were left in these steam trunks as a personal database for Little Manila Rising, just because when they go to the Smithsonian doesn't always necessarily mean that they're going to be at public access. So it was just a matter of making sure that we as a community still had the artifacts, still had the evidence to be like, look at this. So some of the photos I have in these 2 slides are just photos of families that we found, members of, if this will go back, the Degoy Lodge right here. These were some of the original founding members. And so, yeah, it was just a really great opportunity. I think that artifacts, the allure of the archives really brings history to life. And so it was just a blessing to be able to see it firsthand and to help with that. So now I'm going to talk about Restore the Delta, which is a grassroots campaign of residents and organizations committed to restoring the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta so that fisheries, communities, and family farming can thrive together again, and so that the water quality is protected for all communities, particularly environmental justice communities, and so that the Delta environmental justice communities are protected from flood and drought impacts resulting from climate change, while gaining improved public access to clean waterways. Ultimately, the goal of Restore the Delta is to connect communities to our area's rivers and to empower communities to become the guardians of the estuary through participation in government planning and waterway monitoring. The Delta can be a beautiful place, but lately I feel like it's been pretty hard to notice. In the Delta, pollution and inadequate water flows have led to an explosion of harmful algal blooms. This summer, the Delta is choked by floating masses of electric rain algae that can harm people and kill pets, threatening the health, quality of life, and economy of the Delta communities. Fixing these crises Fixing these priorities for the State Water Resources Control Board should be a top priority. Unfortunately, though, Governor Gavin Newsom has shut down the Water Board's efforts here. Instead, the governor supports negotiating voluntary agreements with water agencies, which include senior water rights holders. Talks have gone on for years, but unfortunately have produced little. Most prominently, they have not increased water flows to restore the river and the Bay Delta health. The unjust nature of this process can be seen by who exactly is at the table and who isn't. The public, tribal voices, and communities of color, all which have, as I explained earlier, have historically impacted the way that the Delta has been built and the significance of the Delta within California have been excluded. Similarly to Northern California, the people of color in the SF Bay Delta struggle with having water accesses taken away, losing access to fisheries for sustenance, polluted drinking water, and, as I previously mentioned, harmful algal blooms. This past year, along with other RTD water advocate interns, I partook in advocacy at water board hearings, worked on water quality testing to report to the state, and created social media campaigns to address water rights and environmental justice concerns, also surrounding air pollution as well. It's with these 2 amazing organizations that I got the chance to work on restorative history and justice. I'm really excited to work with Save California Salmon, and so that we can continue ensuring historically marginalized communities throughout California have access to the environmental infrastructure that they both need and deserve. So thanks.
Thank you. That was a great presentation, and it was really exciting to hear about how all these issues are related. I think a lot of people don't realize actually how much immigrant communities really built up the farm worker infrastructure in the United States. And sometimes that work was not voluntary. Like here in the Klamath Basin, Japanese interns built a lot of the Klamath Project up in Tule Lake and from the internment camp. So I just feel like it's important for us to realize how connected our issues are with immigrant communities and with Native communities, and how we're struggling together for clean water. And I really appreciate that you brought up the issue with Gavin Newsom, because we are actually going to show a short video highlighting some of the youth that we work with, asking Gavin Newsom if he could try to be better on these issues, because as a lot of us know, Gavin Newsom can be really good on certain issues. He's been very good for us on making sure people are safe from COVID. He's definitely done some really great work with criminal justice reform. There's been some work he's done on clean air issues that is good. He supports Klamath Dam removal, which is amazing. But he's really standing in the way of us being able to restore the Sacramento River and restore the Trinity River. And the same is true with the city of San Francisco, which I don't know if a lot of people realize, but the city of San Francisco fights a lot of the restoration that we're trying to get done within the Sacramento River and into the San Francisco Bay, because people get stuck in this mindset that water shouldn't be going to the ocean, and that farmers are the only ones feeding America, when in reality, salmon also feed America, and environmental justice issues and water issues and clean water are related. I mean, I don't think a lot of people also realize that the Bay Delta is where most of the water that's used for drinking water in the state comes from. So it's just really important, because people often ask me, like, what does salmon have to do with clean water? How does this affect people in the cities, and why should they care? But if the salmon in the Bay Delta are going extinct due to low flows and pollution, and there's toxic algae that's choking out the life in the Delta, that's the same water that's going to the city of LA. That's the same water that's going to a lot of the East Bay. That's the same water that the people of Stockton are living next to, so it's just really important to realize that people do not have clean water in California, when salmon also don't have clean water in California, and these are very related issues. So thank you so much for that presentation. And with that, I'm going to share my screen and just share a couple slides to close it out and talk about the important work that we're doing with youth. But it's not just us. We work very closely with the Yurok tribe, the Hoopa tribe, Restore the Delta, Little Manila Rising, and all these different groups that have been highlighted today. Wingspan Media actually made the video that we're about to show. And we just really think it's important. A lot of the youth that we work with are wondering if they're going to have a future at all. With the way climate change is going, there's 7 fires surrounding Orleans right now. Hopefully the rain made some of those not as bad, but and a lot of people are not being able to eat salmon the way they used to, or not be able to recreate in their rivers because of toxic algae. So it's important that we take action for our youth. And with that, I'm going to do my presentation. I'm going to do it very, very quickly, because I just mainly want to highlight the work of the youth that we are working with. And then we're going to end it up for today. And I want to remind everyone again, please go to our website, CaliforniaSalmon.org. Check out the Advocacy and Water Protection in Native California curriculum. We are also working on creating a traditional ecological knowledge, science, and management curriculum based on the videos that are on our website from the series we did last year. And let's make sure that real environmental education is being taught in our classrooms, that don't teach us that nature is separate from the people, because Native people have been good stewards to this land. And people depend on clean air and clean water, all people, in order to survive. So you check that out, advocate for your local youth, support Save California Salmon. Please donate to the Grant Gilkinson and Jordan Allen Fund for Native Youth. and make sure that we have an endowed fund to make sure that Native youth within the Klamath and Trinity region are able to participate in water protection and youth field trips and camps for as long as the funds survive. Okay, so I am going to find my presentation real quick. Let's see here. Sorry, I've been trying to actively tweet some of this awesome work that everyone here is doing. Oh, except I'm on the wrong slide. Let's start from the beginning, huh? So we're going to start with a video that the youth made with Wingspan Media from this region, if my computer will.
Governor Newsom, we're counting on you. We've lived here for thousands of years. We fish on the river. We survive off the river. It was born here. Where it's supposed to be.
Don't approve any plans to funnel more.
Regina, do you want to show the link to me and I can play it?
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to work. We'll put it on our website, and I apologize for that. But yeah, our youth are also asking Gavin Newsom if he can do a little better on water issues in California. Quite a lot of salmon died in the Sacramento and the Klamath rivers this year. And it's just a lot of the water from the northern reservoirs were transported to farms. Rice farmers used 4 times as much water alone as LA did this summer. Based on senior water rights, but really tribes have senior water rights in California, or should, and we should be able to ask Governor Newsom to make sure that we're not having tens of thousands of salmon die in our rivers. So sorry about that. This video is on our website. The internet is not going very fast here today. We do live in a rural area, so but I will present the rest of it, and sorry about that again. Yeah, so just real quickly, on our website, you'll see that we have the Advocacy and Water Protection in Native California curriculum. This is actually a curriculum that was made with youth. Darcy Evans, our educational coordinator, is actually a youth herself who helped us put this together. Danielle Frank, who was here earlier in the presentation, was one of the curriculum reviewers. Hoopa High School Water Protectors Club did participate in creating this curriculum. So this is a curriculum that is made for youth, but also with the input of youth on how they want to engage in water protection. Because we don't think that we need to just be teaching people about water and water protection and climate change. We think that the youth have really important voices, and I learn a lot from the youth interns that we have every year, and I learn a lot from the high schools that we work with, including the Klamath tribes youth interns also have taught us a lot. So anyway, we also do teachers trainings as part of the curriculum. So if there's any teachers on here, reach out to us. We'll be doing another one, I think, this winter. But we just really feel that it's important that teachers also learn how to present this curriculum and how to work with youth and empower youth, but also how to make sure that we're talking about Native people in the present tense, and that Native youth are recognized and seen within the classrooms, because that's just really important. California, anyone who's gone through California's educational system knows that it is not friendly the way that Native history is taught. And that now that California is really working on trying to change that, it's really important that they figure out what youth, and especially Native youth, want to be learning. And this is just a picture of one of our youth camps. We really believe in intergenerational learning, how Tamaya brought up earlier. Actually, this is her aunt and grandma are in this circle, and they're telling stories about the fish wars and how they fought for salmon so that the youth here could have the right to fish. And the youth were really interested in it. And it was actually some of the most popular talks have been where the elders present on the struggles that they went through. And then families learn how to protect water and together. And this just is a picture of Tekin Albers cooking salmon for his fellow youth at the camp. And we really believe in art and activism. And that's why it's really cool to have interns that want to do art projects or video projects, because we think that art is a really important part of our culture. And it's a really important part of activism. We're not wanting to have a sterile movement. Everyone has a part to play, and learning, having kids do art with us or youth do art with us is really important to us. And this is a picture that Danielle was talking about earlier of youth carving out a redwood canoe at the canoe camp. And there was a traditional canoe builder that was teaching the youth about this. This isn't one of the traditional canoes. This is just a demonstration canoe, but yeah, these youth here are learning how to carve canoes. So not only were they able to go out on them and learn about why it's important to protect the river, they were also able to actively engage in learning about their cultures. Same camp. And then what we feel is really important is to have these youth's voices be heard. And this is going to be one of the last slides, but this is actually the Hoopa High School Water Protectors Club, along with Kineconnec and Ripoll Lowry, at a Humboldt County Board of Supervisors meeting, making sure that their county fought the site's reservoir being built because Trinity River water will be used to fill it. So now we're able to sorry about that. Now we're able to work with Humboldt County and the site's reservoir authority to make sure that the Trinity River is not harmed through the building of that project if it goes forward. Yeah, and this is the youth holding a rally against the Bay Delta tunnels. And also we support, and I think it's important that everyone supports what the youth want to do themselves. And this is youth participating in the Run for Salmon for the Klamath River. And we were able to just take pictures, and yeah, people come up with their own ideas, and the Orleans kids have always been very active within the Run, or I'm sorry, this is the Klamath Salmon Run, not the Run for Salmon. And that's it. That's the whole presentation. I mainly wanted to show the video, but it's not going to show with our super slow internet here in Orleans today. Some days we have better days than others, but that's the end. But if anyone does want to ask questions, Danielle did have to leave. But I think that some of the presenters are still here. Tamaya's here, Catherine's here. I think Kineconnec might be still on. But yeah, if anyone has a question, let me know and we'll ask it. Just type it into the chat. And Carrie, can you let us know if there's any questions on Facebook?
Yep, will do.
I have a quick question, and we'll just give a couple minutes for questions, and maybe it'll help with figuring out Facebook's asking questions. But my question's for Catherine, and I was just wondering why you think that documenting history is an important part of water protection.
You know, I think that's a really good question. I think that it is really important because I think without it, you know, you have to have some sort of record. I think, unfortunately, with the power systems in place, that, you know, we exist in a country that is very often trying to undermine the significance of contributions of people of color. And not only that, but undermine the environmental justice discrimination that people of color have faced. And I think that if we don't have some sort of record to be like, this is what happened, and we know this for a fact, that we put our communities and ourselves at risk.
Thank you. That's really great. And actually, I just realized that we only have a couple more minutes on this platform. So I just wanted to ask Tamaya if you have any closing remarks really quickly, and then we're going to have to cut it short. But we do a youth water protections presentation at least once a year. So we will be back together with these youth again.
I don't have anything else to contribute other than I appreciate this space. And if anybody has any more or wants to learn more about Red Road, you can look up redroadtodc.org. And you can always like reach out to me. I think I have Facebook. But yeah, just like thank you so much to Regina, to everybody at Save California Salmon, because I was able to say things on the trip like I'm with Save California Salmon, and people would be like, oh, okay, got it. Like, and then they would recognize me. And these are people from all across the country. So yeah, I really appreciate this and the space, and to everybody who's watching this webinar.
Awesome. Well, thank everyone so much. Please continue to follow the Love Your Rivers Week. Use the hashtag Love Your River and post pictures of your river, post why you love your river, host your own events if you can. And please join us on Wednesday for drought, dams, and native rights, or on Friday for our in the land of water and fire, and that will be that's at noon, and that is our land back special for Love Your Rivers Week. And then on Saturday we will be in San Francisco at the opening of the San Francisco Cultural District's Cultural Hub. And it's the 1 year anniversary of the San Francisco Indian Cultural District being established. And we will now have an office there in San Francisco. And we're really, really happy to be part of that effort of making sure that San Francisco honors its Native people. And we will also be engaging in World Rivers Day on Sunday with a small kayak event, but that's just going to be a small thing. But we hope everyone will get online and post why they love their rivers. We'll be posting videos from youth all week, and we will be also posting art, and tag Love Your Rivers or Love Your River, and let us know why you love your river. Thank you so much.